When I was 8 years old, my mom died in a house fire. My mom, my 16-month-old baby sister, they both passed away in the fire, as well as my mother's husband. It created a lot of problems for me growing up. I had a chip on my shoulder. I got in trouble in school, trouble on the bus, trouble with other kids' parents. I got in fights. I got kicked off sports teams and whatever. My grandparents raised me, and I know for several years there was a period of time where they didn't know what was going to happen. Growing up, worked in restaurants and hotels and casinos and all kinds of stuff I got there. I loved working in the restaurant business. I love cooking. Being in the restaurant industry, there's no testing or anybody really caring if you showed up stoned or, cracked out from the night before on doing whatever you were doing. I started to realize that my lifestyle wasn't leading me in a good direction. Between partying and doing drugs and hanging out with not so good crowds, I could definitely see myself ending up in a bad way. So without going into detail, I didn't hit my rock bottom, but I came close enough that I could see it, and that was enough for me. I was on my way to go to a chef job when I noticed, a machine and what they were doing and stuff, and it intrigued my interest, and I started to ask some questions, and it all kind of went from there. Toronto's where I started this job. I started here, been running the crane for 2 solid years now, straight and steady. But it took me about 9, maybe 10, 11 years to get in the seat, and this is the city that started all of that. A 12-foot long joist fell off the 9th floor and caught me in the head. Broke a lot of shit. Broke my neck, my collarbone, my scapula, my rotator cuff, my hand, my orbital bone, broke a couple of my teeth, punctured my lung, fractured ribs, bunch of damage, a lot of injuries. 110 days later, after my accident, I got the clear and okay from the doctors and everybody to go back to work. My father said to me one day, he said, "Yeah, well, all these old Italians and Portuguese guys that you work for, there's one thing you got from them now that you didn't have before." And what do you mean? Like, well, you got their respect and you have their attention. Getting to come up here in a place where this is what I chased for 10, 11 years, this is what I wanted for a job, now I got it and I'm here and I get to come up here and enjoy 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour of solitude by myself and listen to the birds, watch the traffic, watch the sunrise. Sun rising is another day. So I've got another day in my books. Check that on the calendar. Awesome, keep going. That's the way I look at it. I got the tattoo a little over a year ago. I told him a few things that I wanted to have in there, such as the crane and the skyline of Toronto, of course. And the hawk actually was his choosing, which was really cool because, as it turns out, around here in this area, there's actually a few hawks. And I've been fortunate enough to have the hawk, one of them in particular, and it's actually the female of the two. Landed on my crane a couple of times, and I've actually been standing right over there. She was sitting right up there, and I got a couple of friends that really believe that red-tailed hawk is probably the spirit of my mother somehow. And to me, I think that's really cool. So if the spirit of my mother is overlooking me and keeping an eye on me and keeping me safe and comes to visit on my crane, I've got no problem with that. To me, it's definitely makes me feel good inside, that's for sure. There's times now where I have phone conversations with my grandfather and I can hear it in his voice. He's fighting back the tears from being choked up. I know that he's proud. And to me, that's probably one of the biggest and best reasons why I do this. Christmas time this year when I went home, my girlfriend made a video from all of my camera footage from my first job in the crane. Then the last frame of the film that she made, it says, "This is how I did it." And it shows a picture of my grandparents. And you can tell that, yes, it is an emotional thing, but knowing that they're proud of me is probably one of the biggest reasons. Like, that's awesome. I know that I can call my grandmother anytime at all and talk to her on the phone, and she's proud of her grandson. To me, that's pretty awesome. This job saved my life.